Today, I'm joined by video creation expert. Her goal is to teach and coach business owners on how to leverage the full power of video to launch their online presence and escape the time for money trap. Something I think we can all empathize with. Amanda Horvath, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me as well. I'm really excited to chat with you. I've been watching everything you're doing on YouTube. I heard you on several different podcasts, and I just think that you bring a really unique take, a really important take on video creation. So let me start here. As someone who's creating a lot of content, it can sometimes feel overwhelming. Where do you think the best places to put video on the internet are in 2020?
Oh gosh, there's so many options, right?
Right.
I think that really where I tend to focus my efforts, well, okay. So the options obviously are Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and now TikTok, right? If you're considering that part of the internet, which I guess it would be
Yeah.
because it's an app. I would say right now, if I was just starting from absolute nothing and I wanted to get up and running and get results as quickly as possible, my answer would be LinkedIn.
Mhm.
LinkedIn is amazing and such an underutilized platform. So I teach strategies for all of the different ones. And I think that it really is just a personal preference of where you want to start. But I think that LinkedIn is still a very new platform. And because of that, you can experience a lot more growth quicker than, say, Instagram, which is fighting an uphill battle sometimes.
Yeah, it definitely feels like both Facebook and Instagram have almost reached that maturity. It can be really, really difficult to stand out. LinkedIn, of course, is mainly for B2B, but there are also some consumers on there as well. So I'm with you there. So that kind of segues me into my next question for you, Amanda. How do we stand out? There's so much competition, especially in the middle of this pandemic. Everyone's creating video. How can we stand out?
So I think that consistency is how you stand out. There are so many people out there that they'll start and they'll be a flash in the pan and they might have the coolest video editing or some cool creative idea. But if you can't sustain that level of creativity, then there's, I just, it's going to fall flat
Mm.
no matter how hard you try. So like I came from a background where I was actually filming those cool creative videos for businesses and found that over and over again, like that's not how you're going to be able to get results with video. You have to become consistent. So I think that if you just keep things simple and just do almost simple talking head videos like this one, but you're staying consistent in your message and the style of video and in the posting schedule, then you'll definitely stand out.
Yeah, I'm with you there. It's almost like people get to know you when you show up consistently, and there's this snowball that kind of takes over, and clearly can be difficult. I mean, one of the reasons that you started your coaching, your teaching business, which is over at amandahorvath.com, is because you want to escape that rat race, the trading time for money. So let's kind of go back in time a little bit. What was that key point? That key point where you're like, I got to make a change. This is not working. How can I scale this to something that's going to matter?
Yeah. So it was at the end of, I believe it was 2017, and I had just hired a virtual CFO, which is a thing, which is awesome. Something that I highly recommend for everyone.
Mhm.
So I hired one. I got, because I wanted to really get clear on like, what are the numbers? And I was doing it myself, but there's something that comes with having an expert that comes and can really analyze the numbers for you and build those projections out. And she essentially told me that in order to continue doing what I was doing, I would need to double my rates. And at the stage that I was at, I was already charging $100 an hour. So that means I would need to charge $200 an hour. And for video, it takes minimum 15 hours to do just one simple video, right? And I was doing brand videos and the minimum amount was already 3,500. And so 3,500 to 5,000 was kind of like the price point. So I would need to really double that. And I knew that business owners and entrepreneurs who I really enjoyed working with, they would struggle at that price point and I'd be limiting my audience. And I looked at the business that I was running and knew that I kind of had started this business almost out of a necessity to make money when I was originally starting, just kind of freelancing when I was living in Los Angeles, and then fell in love with entrepreneurship, telling their stories, working with them. And it just didn't feel right to me to kind of move up in the level of clients and go to that corporate level who could afford my rates. It just kind of took the soul out of it for
Mm.
me. So I really wanted, and meanwhile, like I would be talking to, I'm in Austin, Texas, and Austin, Texas is like one of the top places to start a small business in the US. And there's so many entrepreneurs here. All of my friends are entrepreneurs. No one has a job. Um, I would be talking to people and they'd be like, hey, I have this cool video idea. Like, this is what we're going to do. And I would almost cringe when I had to tell them my price point, because I'm like, I know you can't afford this, but like, I need to survive too. So I wanted to really create a solution for business owners of how do you create videos without breaking the bank or taking up tons of your time, because you don't have a ton of time to spend on it and you also don't have a ton of money when you're first starting out. So how do you get your message out there in the most consistent way possible? So that was really the big like moment for me to like, okay, things need to change.
Yeah, you kind of figured out who you wanted to serve and what their need was, right?
Yeah, and honestly, not even yet what their need was, because I launched my YouTube channel in June 2018, and I think that a lot of people, they kind of go about it backwards. And I don't hear many people talking about this. I think everyone's like, define your ICA, have the perfect ICA person before you start. And I'm like, you know what? Like, you don't really, like, you need to know a general area and you need to have a general topic. But when you start creating content, you become a magnet for the people that are interested in what you have to say. And then you start to really read the DMs, like talk to people, get to know individuals. And then from there, you kind of start to define exactly who it is, and what their need is comes even after that.
Yeah,
So
I'm absolutely love that, because you're exactly right. Everyone says you need to have the perfect logo with the perfect brand and you need to know exactly who your client is. It doesn't work that way. I mean, I think that the sooner you can get there, the better, but eventually you just got to jump out of the airplane and pull the parachute, right? On your way to
right.
the earth. It's really important. So let's kind of talk a little bit of strategy, right? So you decide, okay, I'm going to get into coaching. I've got some people that could be interested or use my skills so they can grow. What are some questions that I might ask myself when I'm deciding on how to go about creating this content, right? Because it's good to have a plan in place. What are some questions I can ask myself to start executing on a plan?
Totally. So I focus specifically on building a personal brand. So whether you're a business owner or an entrepreneur, I am all about this should be you. You are the face of the business first and foremost. So I'll answer your question from really that standpoint. So one of the questions that I would ask myself is, or I'll even start, I really believe that you need to base your online persona and how you're going to show up online based on your past rather than your future. A lot of people, they start to really talk about like, oh, well, I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to be the thought leader in this, right? And that's where that feeling of imposter syndrome that so many of us deal with comes from, because you're trying to be someone that you're not yet. So the question that I would ask is, what are the patterns that are repeating patterns in my past? Like, can I really dive into my past and see what those cyclical things are that pop up all the time, like your areas of study that you're interested in, courses that you've read, podcasts that you've listened to? Like, you will kind of start to recognize what it is that really separates you from others.
Mm.
And I think that that's like hands down the best place to start versus doing that projection forward. So that's one of the questions.
Yeah, and I
I
think
can
that
keep going.
yeah, well, I definitely want you to continue expanding on that, because that imposter syndrome, I like to think of it as documenting the journey, kind of when you're looking at a personal brand, and just like you said, whether you're starting a new business or you're an employee, like I think a personal brand is really important in a world where things can change on a dime, because the first thing an employer is going to look at when you're trying to find a new job, or a client's going to look at, is what is your Facebook profile? What do I see when I type into Google? So
I mean, everything, even including dating,
yeah,
right? Like we are in a world now that unfortunately, whether you want to be or not, like you are kind of judged by your social
yeah,
presence. And it doesn't hurt to have just a little bit going for you in that department. And what it really is like we assume that others know things about ourselves that they don't actually know. And so if we can start kind of educating these things on some subtle areas that areas of study that you've had, right, that you look back on and you're like, wow, I'm actually really proficient in this area, and you start kind of creating videos around that, it starts to really build out, oh, that's who Mark is, kind of thing.
yeah. I think that's especially true on platforms like YouTube, right? Because you don't really know exactly what YouTube wants to. You want YouTube to recommend you to different people, but when you're first starting out, you don't really know what YouTube wants. What do you tell people when they start doing too much, right? They're not focused. Like, how can we work towards getting focused on what we want to be known for?
Yeah, I think that to really get focused, I always recommend the having an explainer statement. And this is something that I kind of stumbled upon. No one told me that I needed to do this or not, but I really focused on a one-liner to a certain extent that really described what I did. And I have a quick start guide to video that will walk you through. This is one of the videos within that series. So there's a 3-part video series, and the second one is all about this. But there's a statement. It's like, I help X do X without X, right? And if you just start filling that in, you start to really gain clarity on the kind of content that you should be creating, who the content is for, and those different elements. And I think that that really helps you kind of narrow in.
Absolutely. I'm definitely going to put some links in the show notes here so that you can find that quick start guide, because it's really it's really good. It's really concise and helps you to ask these questions that you need to answer. You've just got to have a plan. Amanda, I want to talk a little bit about the course that you just launched. What was your experience producing and creating that course?
Totally. So I think so many people these days, they want to have an online course, right? And they want to have the online course once again before they start doing
Right.
video or before they start doing whatever it is. And I learned so much from starting with the video side of things. So my course, when I was first starting out, I thought that I was going to do a course all about outsourcing your video editing,
Mm,
because that's like I've been super focused in solving problems within that area. And so I wanted to create something that made it super simple for everyone to be able to get editing for like $6 to $7 an hour or whatever it is, right? And so what I did, and I cannot recommend this enough to anyone that wants to start a course, is get on the phone and come up with a list of questions that are more generic questions. You're not going to straight up ask someone, "Hey, would you buy a course on outsourcing?" It's more so asking like, "What are you struggling with video? What if I could snap my fingers, what would the solution look like for you?" And those kind of questions, and get on the phone with about 15 to 20 people, and then once again kind of look at the patterns that are popping up, the repeating patterns, and from there reverse engineer a solution to the problems that they're facing. So I ended up finding out that people don't care to outsource. They want to learn how to edit, and they struggle to even film to begin with. So I changed my entire program to be a do it yourself video roadmap that really walks someone from starting from scratch, finding your online persona and defining that, to getting the right gear and learning how to produce your own videos, all the way to editing and everything like that. So I cannot recommend enough like do some validation calls before you spend time creating a program.
Absolutely love
And
that. That's just genius, because I think so often we think we know what people need. We think we know their question, but just hopping on the phone and actually asking and getting involved, that's really, really smart, Amanda. Thanks for sharing that. Really smart.
And I have to give Amy Porterfield the credit. I took her digital course academy, which is her program on like how to launch an online course, how to create and launch an online course. And I cannot recommend it enough. It is a game changer.
Love that. Love that.
So,
Which I'm curious, what platform did you use to launch your course on?
so my course is hosted on Kajabi.
Okay. Kajabi. What do you think the next step is in that process of creating your how to build video, how to stand out online course?
I think a big part of it is deciding what people do not need to know.
Okay.
And my focus was, we've all been brainwashed by the way that we were raised in school to have homework and get the A, right? Kind of thing. And it's challenging whether we want to think it or not, or whether we think it or not, that we struggle to really kind of take a bunch of decisions and decide which way to go. So I think that the best approach to a program is to really narrow down the options as much as possible for people and simplify it to be as simple as possible. Like, do not just throw everything in your course, because it's not going to sell and people aren't going to get through it even if they do buy it. So I think that's a huge component, is just deciding where can I reduce decision fatigue for people and give them an answer, rather than have to, give them all of the different options. Because there's a million different ways to do video.
Yeah.
I'm just teaching my way that I have found to be the most efficient way of doing it, right? So I think that that's a good approach when creating a program.
Love it. Really, really smart. And of course, you can find out all about that at amandahorvath.com. Super, super clear, super, super simple. Amanda, I want to lean a little bit more into video creation. So let's talk about video. What are the top 3 mistakes that you see people making when they're creating videos?
Not having a strategy is the first one. And what I mean by strategy is just like a through line of why are you creating videos in the first place? And what's your strategy for releasing those videos so they actually are getting seen? So I think that's a huge thing. Just ask yourself the question, like we'll add another one to ask yourself is, why am I creating videos? Where do I want to drive people? Like, where is this leading me? First and foremost, start there. That'd be the first mistake that I see. The second mistake kind of goes off of that one, but just bouncing around. One day you might do a Facebook Live. The next day you're doing an IGTV video. And the following week you might upload a random video to YouTube, right? It's not a compound. You're not leveraging like the compounding effect to really build your brand. So being on all platforms versus just choosing one and really going all in on one, that's definitely another mistake that I see people make. And I know that that's like a little bit more a generic one, not necessarily specific to video, but
it is important. I kind of struggle with that, because on one hand, I feel like I want to be showing up all over the place, but on the other hand, it's very easy to get spread thin. So I'm with you there. So have a plan, a strategy, get consistent, have that consistency so you can leverage that snowball effect. And what's the other
exactly.
mistake?
Yeah. So the other mistake that I see people making is that they think it needs to be more complicated than it needs to be. So they assume that, or they want to say, oh, I want to come out with this epic video that is like, I'm on the scene, I'm here, I'm starting this thing, I'm starting a YouTube channel, I'm starting a show, or anything like that. And really what you need to do is just do simple how-to educational videos that educate someone else on something that they might be interested in. Around one general topic. So you choose one general topic and you just start kind of plugging away at different videos within that. and then pair that with the consistency, and that's going to be a whole lot better than having one epic video that you're not going to be able to sustain moving forward.
Yeah, I agree with you 100% on that one. It can, when you start comparing yourself to people that have been doing and creating video for years and years and years, you think, okay, I need the perfect audio and then I need all these graphical effects. And then before you know it, you've either A, not taken any action, or you've gotten that perfection paralysis, or B, you've spent 3 weeks to create one video and then two people watch it and you're like, this doesn't work. Right.
And then it's too much work, and the thought of doing it again is painful. So I think it's just reassuring to know that actually simple is better. Like, this is, I'm giving you permission right now to just keep it simple.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate that permission, because I couldn't agree with you more. I'm curious about batching. Do you batch and create all of your videos in 1 week and then post produce? How do you schedule out your calendar from a content creation standpoint?
I am big into batching. So my entire system, which is really what I teach in my program, is film once per month, 4 to 5 videos at a time. And then I am also big into outsourcing about 80% of your editing. So that's my process, is I'll film 4 to 5 videos, which I'm probably going to do like on Monday next week, and then create the project files, get them all set up, ship it off to be edited, and then I can come back and I'll do like final tweaks and really look at the videos through the lens of being like a thought leader, because it's hard to get someone else to edit content.
Yeah, it certainly is. But uh, if you have any hope of scaling your business and reaching more people, you absolutely have to offload that stuff, because it's an immense amount of time. That's something I've really been focused on. Actually, earlier today, I interviewed John Jonas. He's the creator of onlinejobs.ph.
No way. That's
I
awesome.
did, yeah.
That's where I find all my people.
Yeah, it's great. It's great. I just hired someone this week, and I've been trying for weeks, months really, to find someone good. And it's like I'll be working with someone for a few weeks, then it just falls flat. And then I find some, and so I was really excited to link up with John and the onlinejobs.ph branch. It's so far so good. We'll see. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah, it's definitely a training issue.
Yeah.
It's and I'm ready to fly to the Philippines and train a ton of editors. Like, that's where I'm at personally, because they're hungry. They want to do the work. They're excited to do the work, but there's no one training them. So there's the option of onlinejobs.ph. They can get on there and say, hey, I'm a video editor, but they lack the expertise.
Yeah.
So that's kind of a major focus of mine to get into that. So that's super cool that you're connected to it.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty neat. And one thing I think it's really cool as well, Amanda, is when you start teaching and training a VA like that, it gives you some skills that you're going to want to have when you start your online course that so many people are chasing right now, right? So they kind of line up. If I can teach a VA how to execute a job, well, I can probably teach other people too. So that's something I think for everyone to kind of consider when at the end of the day, it's all about trying to generate different streams of revenue, income, and try to scale it up. So I think that makes a lot of sense.
Actually, that makes a ton of sense. My first time ever getting in front of the camera was training editors. So I created like a whole training program for them before even starting my YouTube channel. So that's, yeah, totally on point there.
Love it. Love it. I want to talk about YouTube for a minute as well, Amanda, because I love YouTube because there's searchability. People can find videos that you posted 5 years ago, which is really neat with YouTube. But I want to talk about money. I want to talk about monetization. How are you leveraging YouTube to create revenue and income?
Yeah, I actually released a video just on this today. So I know the numbers right off the top of my head. So basically, with YouTube, a lot of people, when you're just starting out, you might think that ads are going to be the main source of your revenue, but that's not going to be the case for a long time. It really takes a while to build up to the point where that is a significant portion. And it takes a while to even get to the point where you can monetize your channel. So I just monetized my channel in January of this year, I think towards the end of January. And I think it's around $200 to $300 a month, roughly, for that. And then I have affiliate marketing that I do which is really, it's more just affiliate links. It's not even fully affiliate marketing. It's just like recommending affordable gear off Amazon. And then I put an affiliate link and I make about $300 off that each month. And then I have a template that I sell that's just like a super basic template that is a Gary Vee style social media graphic with the title at the top and the subtitles at the bottom with the progress bar moving across the screen. And that's like $20. And I think I made like an average of $50 a month so far this year on that. So that you can see very little income, right? That's just kind of like bonus income. So where the true value and money comes from, which this is my first year of doing this, is the online course.
Yeah.
So I've now launched my online course 2 times. And that I did 17,000 the first time that I launched it, and then 32,000 the second time that I launched it. So it's like a big push period, and you make that amount of money in like a 2-week period, but then, a lot goes into it outside of that.
Sure.
So
Sure. That's amazing. Plus, and you didn't even mention this, your one-on-one coaching that you offer as well, right? So you've got this one-on-one coaching and YouTube creation. So so what you're talking about here is all these different streams of income, and they might start small, but I mean, it's like free money, right? You put links in your YouTube videos. And one of the things that I found, and I haven't launched a course, at least at this point here in June of 2020. But one thing that I found is when you're working with someone and you're coaching them and you're giving them advice, they start asking you, well, what camera do you use? Right. And what software do you use? And that's a good time for you to use an affiliate link or an affiliate marketing technique to try to help everyone. Everyone wins. Everyone wins.
right. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Coaching. Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. So before I get into the rapid fire, I just want to remind everyone you can find out a ton. We're just at the tip of the iceberg here. But AmandaHorvath.com, Amanda Horvath on YouTube. She is a personal branding video strategy expert, and you need to learn it if you're going to be successful. So I love it. All right.
Awesome.
Cool. Amanda, let's talk rapid fire. What is a must-have item that every business owner should have that costs less than $25?
Oh gosh.
Gotta have
That's a hard rapid fire. Pens. I don't know. That's such a
Pens.
I don't know.
I talked to Owen Video earlier today, and he said erasable pens too. So you're in good company there.
Nice. There you go.
Pen.
Yeah. Notepads, pens, journals.
Cool. Just general office supplies. Cool. What's your favorite podcast to listen to?
Online Marketing Made Easy with Amy Porterfield.
Love it. Love it. If you woke up in the morning and there was only one business task that you could do for the day, what would you do?
My initial gut instinct is film videos or coach people. Like I enjoy both of those things for sure.
Good deal. Good deal. What is a must-have subscription? A subscription that you just couldn't live without?
Adobe Premiere Pro, Adobe Creative Cloud in general. Could not live without one.
I'm with you there. Sure. I'm with you there. And it's kind of overwhelming just for everyone out there. The Creative Cloud is a little overwhelming when you first start, but just focus on just getting a little bit better with each post. And it's amazing how that will work itself out. Great one.
Yeah.
Last question for you here, Amanda. If you had a billboard message that could reach millions and millions of people, what would you put on your billboard?
Your message matters.
She said it. I agree with it. Amanda, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.